Hello and welcome to the show. Welcome to For Future Generations, episode 36. We got a fun show for you tonight, and hopefully we've got all of our ducks in a row and our internet straightened out. So last show was a bit of a bug fest for the first half, and then it kind of cleared up. So if y'all are going back and watching those shows, pop in to maybe about the 20-minute mark. But this show hopefully we'll be working just fine. If you are having stuttering or problems, please say in the chat, and there won't be much we can do about it, but commiserate. But thank you for coming along. It is the 11th of October. It is Saturday night. We appreciate you being along for the ride. I am Jeffrey. I am joined as always by Sean. Sean, how are you, man? I'm good. Doing better than your internet connection last week. So.
My internet connection, which was half dead. Yeah, huge bummer. I am really quite ticked off because I think that was one of, if not our best show. The presentation was just really excellent. It was a lot of fun, and unfortunately, it was a stutter fest. Worse than usual stutter fest, but well, it is what it is, and the show must go on. But we've got quite a fun program for you tonight. But before we get into that, Sean, have you been doing well, man, or how are things on your side of side of Texas?
Yeah, I guess things are better than better than they otherwise could be. Just tired, man. I feel like nothing ever fixes that. Like I never catch up on sleep is kind of how it feels. I guess that's what's going on in my life.
Yeah, that's been me this week too, man. I just I think I decided after I had my second kid, I was just like, you know what? You're never going to get enough sleep. You're just going to be tired for the rest of your life until you die. This is just what being an adult. This is what it means now to be an adult grown up in the United States of America. It's just go all the time. But yeah, I had a great week. Tired, worked hard. I worked 56 hours this week, which is pretty crazy.
Dang,
but
dude.
It's going to be a nice paycheck when it comes in. But spent this morning over at a friend's house, neighbor's house, chopping up some chickens. So, got my bloodlust fueled and put a bunch of stuff in the freezer, got cold some roosters. So it's been a good day, but I am tired. But anyhow, folks, we got a great show for you today. And so the name of the show, I often start by kind of explaining. The name of the show is a little bit trying to clickbait, grab some people. TikTok, Excommunications, those are two separate things. But this week there was a very, very interesting case of a man who was not a famous individual. All right, this young man, I say young man, he's about our age, a fellow by the name of Daniel Keene, was excommunicated from his church. Now, if you were to take some guesses, chat, if you were to suppose, what would be the grounds of excommunication from a church? This was a man who was not in leadership in the church, like he wasn't an elder, but he had, like teaching positions, and he had some cachet, some authority. What would be the grounds of excommunication? So before we get into the story, I want to get the wheels turning. What are grounds for excommunication? If you find out that somebody's doing X, Y, or Z, you take it to the elders, and it's just, we've got to do something about this, and we get rid of the guy. What would that be in your mind? All right. Now, I want to show the Twitter post. There was a post that this fella made. His name's Daniel Keene on Twitter, made a post, said some things, and it exploded. Not a huge guy only had 300 followers. And for some reason, the algorithm just grabbed this one and ran with it. He got reposted by a lot of more famous. For example, this right here is Kang Min Lee, who is a Korean gentleman, a very, very good based fella. I'm following him, have been for quite some time. He's a realist. He's an interesting guy, but you'll notice he has some comments on this post. And if you click the link to it, this page does not exist. Right after this thing blew up, this fellow's elders came to him and said, we want to talk to you. He's getting death threats. He's getting harassed. He's been doxxed. He was not an anon. And as a matter of fact, he mentioned this in interviews that he kind of had a disparaging attitude toward anons. Like, you're not great, right? You're a coward hiding. And he said after this ordeal, he's much more amenable to it because he was doxxed. He was a face poster, but his address, his phone number, his email were all posted online for people to go harass him. And he's getting legitimate death threats from Hindus. And they are DDoSing his business's website. They're spamming bad reviews on any location where his website is listed, and just doing everything they can to ruin his life because of a post he made. And because it's deleted, you're just going to have to believe me, but this is pretty well recorded, that he shared a video of Hindus marching down his neighborhood street with a giant idol on wheels, banging drums, dancing in the road, and singing. In Texas, mind you. Right? This guy is in a Christian country in the United States of America, and a crowd of Hindus are dragging an idol on a cart through a neighborhood, banging drums, dancing around it, and shouting and singing. So he shares the video with the commentary of, this is not right. We need to send the H-1B visas back. I want to raise my child in America, not India. And that's a rough paraphrase. But essentially what the phrase that got him in trouble was, I want to raise my daughter in America, not India. Which, Sean, would you rather raise your kids in America or India?
That's a real tough one. Yeah, obviously America. I mean, there's literally no benefit to raising a child in India. I can't think of one.
Really, if you think about it, these these people who are coming here with their children to the United States of America from India, why are they doing that?
Yeah.
Does it seem like maybe they want to raise their children in America, not India?
You know what's crazy though? This is such a sidebar, but when I was doing roofing, I was the guy going door to door trying to drum up more business. And you would go to some place. Now this is in DFW. And I would go to some neighborhoods where literally everyone in that neighborhood, it was like new build houses. They were all Indians. Mm-hmm. And you would know that because they had the swastikas on their doors and stuff, which is interesting as an American to see that just so open. But it means something wildly different to them. But it was just, they would all have the pictures of whatever false god that they had with 3 heads or 8 arms or whatever.
Mm-hmm. And blue skin.
Yeah, whatever's going on.
Probably a furry tail and,
Yeah, but it would be a whole neighborhood of them. So it was like, oh, I guess I'm not getting any business here because
you're not Indian.
Because how do you explain to someone with a sub 100 IQ that they need to repair their roof before it starts leaking. How do you explain that to them? They think that you're trying to scam them. They're going to project that on you. So you're knocking on their door. Like if I would knock on someone's door, and by the end of the conversation, they would be thanking me. I'm so thankful that you knocked on my door. I had no idea I had that kind of damage. The video you showed me of the damage is, obviously legitimate, because you start the video by, here's your neighborhood and here's me on your roof.
Mm-hmm.
So there's no faking that from the time, you know what I mean? Like by the time I crawled up on the roof to coming back down. And I would get thanks for that if it was like an American, but you go to like an Indian, no, just go away if they speak English.
Mm-hmm.
It's awful, dude. I mean, it's a new build neighborhood, and it's already a slum. And that's so they never really leave. They never really leave India, do they? They just bring it with them. No, am I? Oh,
Well,
did I leave for a second?
I think you're still here. At least I still hear you.
Or is this on your end?
You are breaking up, and I don't know if this is on my end or your end. But I am texting the wife to
I don't know.
Get off the internet, and hopefully whatever the issue is will be resolved.
You know what it was? I think I had a pop-up
next week.
Yeah. But anyways, they show up, and then they bring India with them. So now India is at your doorstep. I mean, it's like, I told you I lived in Germany for a matter of years when I was in the army, and I brought America with me. Like anywhere I go, there's a piece of America there. And, the Germans that we interacted with tended to like it because we spent good money and we like to drink. And so we like their alcohol establishments.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're like, you want to spend euros here at my bar? That's cool. Like, thanks.
Yeah. I will not turn you down. There was a thing that I noticed when I was in India. For those of you who don't know, I've spent a considerable amount of time in India. I was an off and on kind of part-time-ish missionary for several years when I was a younger man before I got married. And the new builds became slums very quickly, kind of what you were talking about, where just there was not a lot of maintenance. They don't have a maintenance culture, and things would have to break pretty considerably before they got fixed. And I'm sure that changes depending on what neighborhoods you're in, just like here in the United States. And they have that in India as well. But one thing that I did note also was just that the scamming culture. We have that kind of concept of Indians scamming people because, the royal we, our major interaction with Indians is call centers. Either, you call AT&T and you press 1 for English and you get some guy who says, "Hello, thank you, come again."
Yeah.
And, barely understandable, perfectly fluent sometimes, but the accent just so thick you could cut it with a knife. And then, but also the other interaction that we have with them is, "Sir, do not redeem. Do not redeem Steam gift card, sir. You need to pay your fine, sir." And so we have this kind of negative stereotype. But when you're on the ground in India and you try to buy anything at a bazaar as an American or a white man, because most of the time walking around, they would ask me if I was English, Inglesi, are you English? Not, are you an American? And as soon as they see white skin, the prices just go up by 100 times. Because they know that Europeans and Americans, Englishmen don't necessarily know the exchange rate right off the top of the head. When I was there, it was anywhere from 58 to 65 rupees per dollar, which is a weird calculation to make because anytime something is less than $1, and then the economy is just turned upside down from what we're used to, things have very odd pricing. But if you went into a market, depending on what kind of stall it was, India has very heavy price controls that are enforced very stringently. And once you go into the unregulated markets, you realize why that's a thing. Because if they didn't have price controls, things would be insane. You just wouldn't be able to conduct business with these people. It's one thing to haggle over, buying vegetables and stuff, which they do. Haggling with the Apple wife, which is, that's also a European thing historically. But, having to haggle over the price of like benzene, petrol, gasoline to put in your motorcycle, that would be really insane. And so those kinds of prices are controlled in India to maintain this scam culture that they have. So yeah, it is a stereotype, but it's a stereotype for a reason, because they really just, they don't have a kind of respect and decency or a concept of fairness, which is completely lacking in their culture, even to each other, not just to outsiders. But then you bring in the multi-ethnic thing, it just gets immeasurably worse. So, yeah, long tangent, but, so this fellow sees this post, he shares it, he gets doxxed, he's getting harassed, and he gets a call from his elders one night, and he's thinking along the lines of, what's going on? Hopefully these people are here to encourage me. But kind of in the back of his mind, he knows that's not what's going on. I mean, if you're getting a call from your elders, if you, young man, are getting a call from your elders at 3:00 in the morning, your head's going on a pike, and you know it. I mean, that's just...
Is that what time they called him? Was 3 a.m?
I believe from... I might be getting some times confused, but I believe that is what happened. Is or he called his elders at 3 a.m. He was being harassed and just kind of having a hard time, as one would. I mean, if they're being fully harassed by the mob online, especially when all of India shows up to dox and DM and leave bad reviews for your business. So anyway, this all happened some weeks ago. Actually, we're getting this news late, but this happened before Charlie Kirk was shot. Charlie Kirk is shot, and then the next day, September 11th, is when his elders tell him to come in. They make an appointment. You're going to come in, and we're going to have a chat, bro. We're going to have a chat.
Yeah.
And chat did not go well. They essentially said, what you said was unloving. It was unchristlike. Never pointed out any kind of a sin. Right. But this story hit the news because they went public with it. His elders did. And
what denomination is this? Do we know?
So here is the article from Blaze. Church joins persecution of Texas business owner who criticized the H-1B visas. And Indian Bloc Party taking over an entire street of his North Texas suburb. Okay, so it wasn't Houston. I think it might be Dallas. Yeah, Dallas, Fort Worth. And this is what his elders said. We feel your public stance doesn't align with our core values of inclusivity and respect. So what kind of church is it? It's the Trails Church, which, if you click on it, it brings you to their website. I mean, this is, very, very standard Baptist-costal looking website. But from what I understand, I think I heard some people talking about yeah, guitars on stage, and gotta have our minorities in
we
the
have
video.
A black guy.
Yeah, trust me, bro. We're not racist. Look, here's a black guy. But from what I heard, some people were saying this is an SBC church. That may or may not be the case, but it is a large Baptist-costal type church, right? So, he said, sermons not bad. From what he said, they seem to be a decent church. But he had some elders would disagree with him, and some would agree with him on his political stances. You had some liberals and some conservatives, and the ones that contacted him, and this is a point that he made. He said the ones who contacted him were not the ones with whom he was friendly, and he kind of realized that was not a good sign. So, I mean, if you go to their about page, their about page essentially is New Hampshire Confession of Faith, which is not a bad confession, not far-reaching.
It is is it the first London Baptist with some edits, or is it the second with some edits? I think it's the first with some edits, right?
Yes. So the 1689, which is what most Reformed Baptist churches go by, that is the second London Baptist Confession. Most people don't call it that. They call it the 1689. But there were several, and I wish I could remember what it is now, but there were several different confessions that came out of the first one. And there was one from... let's see, was this one the one from Connecticut, or was this the one from New Hampshire? So there's one from New Hampshire and one from, I believe, Connecticut. The New Hampshire one is much shorter. The other one, if it's Connecticut or Pennsylvania, wherever that is, it's a much more in-depth, much more similar to the 1689, but with some doctrinal differences. Not anything serious, but some views on the Sabbath that are different. Some views on, proper behavior in church and things along those lines. So, a lot of these things that spawn out of this, but essentially what this is a modern Baptist church with a decent theology, but some liberalism sprinkled in here and there. They've got the guitars on stage, they've got the seeker sensitiveness. But he said, there were good elders there. But here we go.
So they are. I looked this up.
Pregnant, called in for a meeting with all the elders and staff who could be there, and he says they weren't concerned about the one post. They just hammered me for hours. And you were saying, Sean?
Yeah, I looked up where it's at. If it's the one that I think it is, it's in Salina, which is famous for its truck stop, obviously, but also that's a great page. Are you familiar with that?
Yeah, Salina, isn't it Salina 69 or something like that?
Something like that. But anyways,
I followed it for a while, but it got to be just too cringe.
It is north of Frisco, so I don't know when people consider Frisco is north of Dallas. Like, at what point is it not DFW anymore? Because that's considerably. I guess
once you get to the Red River.
I get but that's what I'm saying.
Is Denton in the DFW area?
You would have to include it if you include this Salina.
Yeah.
Like it's way up there. So all that to say, like, I know Frisco is having a really considerable amount of Indians coming in. That north of Dallas area, that's also where the high school kid got stabbed. Right. That was Frisco, I believe. So that whole outside of Dallas area is very the northern part of it, because South Dallas is just ghetto all the way through. But like the northern part, especially like outside of Dallas, is like a lot of rich white people trying to survive in a post-apocalyptic multiculturalism.
Yeah. Like Escape from New York kind of coming to them.
So there's a lot of, for those who aren't familiar with the culture of that area, especially in churches, this could probably apply to most of DFW to some extent. There is this idea of, for white people to say, well, we are no longer we're no longer the dominant species on this planet, and we need to change for the new people that are coming in.
The new male. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the new it's all going to be Indians, so now we need to figure out how to appeal to Indians, not tear down their statues like our ancestors would have done, but how can we appease this? How can we incorporate Vishnu into the gospel? I don't know. Like it's not that far. But
we're going to see what we're going to see is the billboard, the electric billboards out in front of the churches, instead of seeing Jesus in Marvel movies flashing across the screen. What you're going to see is how Bollywood reflects Christ.
Yeah.
That's going to be the poll. Like, how can we get these guys in here? Let's start talking about Indian movies, the gospel at the movies, But no, this is an exercise in futility. It's not going to go anywhere. It's not going to work. It's just not going to work. And here is the thing that I think is very notable about this. And you don't tend to see this in the more conservative denominations, but this has actually happened to a family member of mine. He was not technically churched, but they told him that he needed to leave his church because of some of his online activities. He said, okay, well, if I leave the church, I'm going to continue my online activities. They said, yeah, that's fine. Then he left, and then they contacted him later and said, hey, you're still doing your stuff online. And he's like, well, yeah, that was the agreement. It's like, I'm not a member in your church. I left in good standing. There was nothing theologically objectionable to it. And then they still are quite peeved with this individual because of his online extremism, so to speak. But what you see is, Keene was unable to get a straight answer from the elders on the actual substance of his offense. On one hand, they're saying the issue is not the position itself, it's how it's expressed. But then we've had 3 hours of phone calls, and they're just hammering me on the position itself. Keene requested the elders put his offense in writing to eliminate uncertainty, but they refused. He expressed his confusion to the elders about the nature of his supposed offense and what he was supposed to do about it. And so he was not technically excommunicated. All right. Very, very important thing to point out. Here he is on Twitter sharing this article that we just read from. He was not technically excommunicated. He was asked to go somewhere else. And this actually happened to my family when I was a teenager. We were not excommunicated, but we were asked to go somewhere else because we were opposing the leadership because they were playing footsie with a homosexual. They were letting him into the church, letting him take leadership positions. He became a member as a teenager before he was an open homosexual. And then in our town, he was the leader of the homosexual group at the high school and then the college when he got there. And it's like, wait a minute, this guy's a member of our church and he's on the front page of the paper as an out and out homosexual. So we made a fuss. We kicked up a fuss. But the new leadership had already driven out all of the good members. They had all started going elsewhere because of this seeker sensitivity. Newsflash, if you're making your church sensitive for seekers, the people who aren't seeking, who have already found, will not feel at home there. Okay, so that's what happened is these good Christian folks who have been going to this church for 80 years, some of them born in this church. And they left. And so we were the only ones left. We were standing there fighting against the entire, what was left of the church. And essentially the elders just said to us, you know what? Maybe you should go somewhere else. So we did. That's what happened to Keen here. He was not technically excommunicated. They didn't give him papers and, throw him out. He's not been charged with anything in any kind of church court. You saw the website. It doesn't look like the kind of place that has such a thing anyway. But he was asked to leave, and so that's what he did. But here's a good summary by Isker. If you're not following Boniface Option on Twitter, that's Andrew Isker. Good friend, good dude. Give him a follow. Listen to his podcast. Listen to it more than I do, which is infrequently, but I love it when I'm scrolling Twitter and I see it and I start playing it in the background and listening to it. So he's a great guy, good dude. But anyway, he says here, kicked out of his church for opposing H-1B. I wish I could say this is unbelievable, but it's all too believable. They couldn't even tell him what specific sin he had committed, just that his tone was wrong. This is the kind of leadership most evangelicals are under. Spiritual geldings who will attack you for objecting to your country being stolen from you. I also want my children to grow up in America, not India. It is not a sin to believe this or say this. Okay. So here we have, we are in a situation in our society where we have open homosexuals in the church, where we have open Trinitarian heretics. We have open and blatant LGBTQ propaganda in churches. And the people being excommunicated, or functionally excommunicated, if not officially, are the people who are opposing immigration. What's going on here? You remember that question I asked at the beginning, what is grounds for excommunication? If you think about, there was some guy who was in leadership in our church, maybe a Sunday school teacher or something like that. Maybe he's the door greeter, doesn't have, not high on the totem pole, but he's officially recognized as a part of the church with a role to fill. And then he's being excommunicated. The next week he's being excommunicated. What would be required for such an insane thing to happen? What would that require? Well, evidently, it's criticizing the presence of foreigners taking over your neighborhood. Not just the presence of foreigners in your neighborhood, which is something in and of itself. Something worth considering. But not just the presence of foreigners in his neighborhood, but the fact that they're taking over. Carting around, wheeling around an idol and banging drums and making noise and turning your Christian neighborhood into a worship session for their demon god. Complaining about that is unchristlike. Complaining about the public worship of demons is unchristlike. Does that make sense to you? Does that wash? So, anyhow, we are in a bad place. Spiritually, our churches have problems. And you need to be talking to your elders. Young men, you need to be talking to your elders about this issue. What is going on in our churches? What are the grounds for excommunication or disbarring membership, if that's what you want to call it? What you need to know if your elders are going to kick you out of your church for something like this, for sharing a video on Twitter with commentary saying, I don't want to raise my children in India. Which his elders on multiple occasions said, look, it's not the fact that you don't want to raise your kids in India. That's a perfectly allowable thing to desire, right? You're allowed to not want to raise your kids in India. You're just not allowed to say that, or you'll be disfellowshipped. Is that where we stand? Now, this is not a conservative church, right? This is a ushy squishy evangeli Baptist-costal mainline, church. But when you read their confession was solid, right? That was not bad theology. That was good theology. It was not far-reaching, but it covered all the bases. Trinitarian, right? Standard conservative Baptist theology, according to the book. But when the real metal was tested, were they conservative? Were they right-wing? Were they, would your great-grandfather have been kicked out of this church for his views? For expressing his views publicly?
Honestly, your great-grandfather would probably be kicked out of the church for not having an issue with this. Like, if there was something like that going on, your great-grandfather didn't get up in a huff about it, at least verbally, if not physically, then he'd probably get kicked out of the church. I mean, if you really step back and think about it, in some ways, the modern liberal has a better understanding of American history than some who would call themselves conservative, because they would say, oh yeah, of course, like your great grandfather would have been a bigot and he would have wanted to destroy the demon statue. Whereas, some conservatives would be like, no, he would have been open-minded. He would have loved to have Indian neighbors. And so I think there's something, you just have to take that view that all of your ancestors were racist and then just kind of say, oh, but it was a good thing. And you'll actually have an accurate understanding of what was going on. I also wanted to point out that this guy, he says he's an 11th generation American, which might mean, if you do the math on it, that might mean before independence. Like, we're talking like Mayflower original or, stock. No, I think you'd have to go further than 11, I'm pretty sure. But I'm saying like pre-revolution, like it would be
pre-1776. Yeah.
Likely.
Yeah.
Which is cool. That's what an American is. Like we had a stock of people, and we kind of threw little bits into it. But at some point there, there's an episode of Curb Your Enthusiasm where there's a Larry David is like, oh, I want a Cobb salad, but then, substitute this, and I want this kind of dressing. And his buddy
gets done with it.
Yeah. His buddy's like, are you sure you want a Cobb salad? And his whole thing is like, well, my grandfather invented the Cobb salad or whatever. And so he like takes it really personally. But you have to ask at some point when you've, just being
I want America, but I don't want the white Anglo-Saxon Protestants. I don't want the Bill of Rights. I don't want a capitalistic society. I don't want free markets. I don't want Christian religion. I don't want Christian blasphemy laws. I don't want states to be self-governed. I don't want church-state affiliation. By the time you get done with this, it's like, do you really want America? Because it doesn't seem like you want America. The founders of our nation wrote in blood for us and our posterity. That's an 11th generation, right? He is posterity. You know who's not their posterity? The Hindus banging drums, toting an idol down his street. They are not the founders' posterity. So when he says, I don't want to raise my child in India, I want to raise her in America, the founders agree with that. They want him to raise his child in America, not India. And they shed blood and spilt their treasure to make that a thing, to make that happen. So, big black pill. But, you might say, well, not my denomination. This is an evangelical squishy church. But, I go to, I go to a Lutheran church, or I go to an old stock Presbyterian church. I go to an excellent conservative, old style American high church. Well, let me burst your bubble, because I got some posts here. The Jolly Brawler on Twitter. For those of you who do not follow the Jolly Brawler, what's wrong with you people?
Yeah.
Follow the Jolly Brawler. Look at that. He follows me. Follow the Jolly Brawler on Twitter. But this is what he has to say. When it comes to the trials of young right-wing men, the church has showed a level of corruption and incompetence I've only seen in kangaroo courts. Clear rules for evidence, proof, and facts are thrown out the window. Clear scriptures are trodden underfoot. It's time that someone exposes these show trials in the church. I'm going to start collecting stories, recordings, and transcripts from these different unjust disciplines and excommunication trials, compile them, find the common threads, and have the information ready for a podcast or article. We call that foreshadowing. With this, we can start to shine the light on this wicked practice and prepare our brothers for when they are inevitably called in for a struggle session. All right. He says, 2 quick points. My inbox is already filling up with people telling me their stories. I'll organize these, wrap my head around it. One bigger podcast has already offered to have me on to discuss it. We'll see where that goes. So that could be really good. We are not the bigger podcast.
Yeah, I was going to say, he's clearly not talking about us.
But I have talked with the Jolly Brawler, and he has agreed to come on next week. So pending nothing crazy happening, next week we will be having the Jolly Brawler on to discuss just such a thing. But here is another post, him talking about a discussion that he had. Another one of my favorites from the recent discipline and excommunication trials I've read through. Napark Elder. Okay, the NAPARC. Sean, are you familiar with this denomination?
The North American Presbyterian Association of Reformed Churches, something like that? Or is it something like that?
So it's what it is they gathered several different micro denominations together, and they're kind of in association of these different churches, right?
Okay.
And they are, on paper, extremely conservative. All right, they're like the PCA of the Upper North, right? Or maybe not quite as conservative as the PCA, but they're not liberals, right? These people are not liberals. But this he says, this elder says, if you spoke more like Charlie Kirk, nobody would have a problem with you. And the congregant says they literally shot him in the throat. Okay, this is the kind of disconnected, just facile understanding.
Yeah, and then they make fun of the way that his wife grieves. That has blown my mind this week, since you have Charlie Kirk mentioned here. It's not enough that one of their guys goes out and shoots him in the throat. We had a whole episode where we were talking about Charlie Kirk. He was like the John Wick puppy dog, right? He was innocent of anything. He was just trying to talk with people. He was trying to be that guy, and I would say he successfully was, that all of our enemies want us to be. Yeah, well, if you were more Christ-like,
nice and kind and thoughtful and listen, right?
Yeah. So they not only killed the man, but now the big thing is making fun of his wife for,
for
being continuing to work for what he worked his entire adult life for. He was very, very young when he never really got very old. He was born
30 years old.
What was it? 30.
He was 31 years old, which
31.
is the same age as me. I'm 31 years old. And the thought of my wife, if these crazed lunatics murdered me and my wife would have to raise our 5 children without me, that's terrifying. That's awful. And it should awaken you to something, that these people are playing for keeps. All right. This whole, be nice, listen, be quiet and listen. A black woman is talking. That whole attitude's not going to work. Okay. Because that is what Charlie Kirk did. I mean, he would intentionally put down his microphone and let the other person speak till they came to a stop, pick up his microphone and start talking. Right? Making a public show of the fact that he's not going to interrupt you. Being very clear about, look, I'm being respectful, I'm being kind, I'm listening to what you have to say. And they shot him. And they killed him. Why? Because he said, look, I disagree with you. I'll die for your right to say what you want to say, even if I disagree with you. And they murdered him for it. And these elders in this conservative church are saying, look, man, if you were just like that, if you were like Charlie Kirk, people would like you. If you were like that, you wouldn't have any enemies. You wouldn't have enemies if you were just kind. And the example they give is a man who was murdered in front of his children. Murdered in public in front of his wife and children. These people are so disconnected. They don't get it. They don't know what time it is. But it gets worse. It gets worse. All right. Sean, you remember that show we did where we talked about Brian Sauvé talking about Black culture?
Yes.
Right. And, Brian Sauvé mentioned the fact that Black culture is violent and criminal and should be opposed.
Yeah.
And he used the example of Paul talking about the Cretans. The Cretans are all liars, evil, lazy gluttons, right? And he said, you could say about the Black culture that they're violent, that they are criminal. But what is the second part of that? Therefore rebuke them sharply, that they may be sound in the faith. And then the rest of the book is about finding elders of these same people who are qualified to be elders. And what are the qualifications? They're pretty high, right? And Brian Sauvé just applying that to Black culture, saying, look, these are bad things. In the United States of America, the African-American society have these problems. Therefore rebuke them sharply, that they may be sound in the faith. And that there are Black individuals, there are African-American men who are qualified to be elders, like Vodi Bakum, who died a few weeks ago. Just an absolute titan, never backing down. I love watching his interviews on the news because they'll ask questions like, well, surely you don't believe this. And he'll be like, yeah, I believe that. The Bible says, I don't have a choice.
Yeah.
The Bible says that, I believe it.
Mm-hmm.
But, that's kind of sexist, isn't it? He's like, look, man, the Bible says it. I believe it. It's not about being sexist or, being egalitarian or whatever it is that you think you are. It's about being a Bible-believing Christian. And this is what the Bible says, and I believe it, and I'm a Christian. And just seeing that titan, that man who stood up to the mob over and over again and never buckled, never took a step back. That was incredible. Therefore, rebuke them sharply that they may be sound in the faith. And Vodi Bakum did that.
But so in this interview with a NAPARC elder, I'm just going to read this. It's another post from the Jolly Brawler. He says, I've listened to a number of discipline and excommunication meetings in NAPARC and CREC churches over the last few years. I think my favorite quote from all of them is, Congregant, I believe if Paul said this about the Cretans today, you would call him in for church discipline. NAPARC elder, yes, I'd certainly have some questions for him. These people are absolutely cooked. Can you imagine some NAPARC elders summoning the Apostle Paul to answer for racism? They'd put God on trial if they could.
Well, I would like to note that they did put God on trial and they killed him. That was what they called for. And I think a lot of people, because, it was weird when you were talking about what they did to Charlie Kirk. I was kind of thinking like that there was going to be someone who would say, well, yeah, but that's the most Christ-like thing to do is, you speak the truth kindly and then you get killed for it. But what I would add is the only pushback I would have on that is that the person that was saying, if you talk like Charlie Kirk, no one would have a problem with you. No, the thing is, they would still have a problem with you because you're speaking the truth in love. They don't care if you speak the truth in love or in hate or whatever. They only hate the truth. So I understand, like, march to your death with the gospel on your lips. Like I'm all for that, but don't try to tell people no one will have a problem with you if you preach as boldly as Christ preached. Don't get that idea out of your head. Like, you're not going to be friends with everyone. If you we literally have the example of Christ just being friends with everyone. And there were people who didn't like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
They were
Christ-like. Just be Christ-like. It's like, you realize they killed Christ, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they murdered the Son of God. And they extol the prophets. This is another thing. These denominations that were founded by men like J. Gresham Machen, and they laud the prophets and they decorate their graves and they sing songs about them. But if he were alive today, they would excommunicate him. All right, you have Lutheran pastors who said this. They were questioned about, people pointing out if Luther were alive today, he'd be excommunicated, and them saying, "Well, yes, but if he were alive today, I'm sure he would understand." No, he would wake up exactly where he went to sleep, and he'd come into your church with a freshly braided whip, and he would start laying into people.
Yeah.
And you would excommunicate him. You would hang him on a cross. You would kill him.
The only difference if Luther came back today is that he would then have the benefit of history of 500 more years of history to be able to say, "See, I told you so.
I told you so."
That's it. That's the only difference that there would be. He would still say the same things over and over again, and he wouldn't back down.
Yeah. Can you imagine the things Luther would be saying about the Catholic Church if he saw it today? And,
I couldn't
and the
even
things,
imagine.
I mean, the things that he said about Islam, and he'd be looking at the way that Europe is buddying and palling around with Muslim nations and importing infinity Muslims to fill the streets. The things he said about the Jews and the way that our society is, our media, be it news, be it movies, is controlled by this very small group of people who have an agenda that they're pursuing. Can you imagine the things he would say about that? It would not be nice. He would not be happy. He would be very, very upset.
I don't remember if I got this from Dabney or a similar source, but the idea was, instead of worrying about like what you think of your ancestors. Worry about what your ancestors would think of you. Is that Dabney that I'm getting that idea from? Or
I have
don't
heard
know,
variations of that
yeah,
from multiple sources.
yeah, that's true.
But I believe Dabney has said things of that sort.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But in that vein, you know, you hear a lot of people, well, you know, Luther was a man of his time. Well, I believe, and I guess I will go as far as say, like, I hope and I pray that 500 years from now, all these wimpy, multicultural rainbow people that are just like, oh, please come into my country and exhaust our resources and, you know, put Jesus out of the public square. I wish all those kind of people, we would look back on them and say, those were men of their time. Literally every other generation of people was not like them, but they were men of their time.
Yeah.
And I think
I would say Luther was very much not a man of his time.
Yeah.
That's why he did what he did. You know, men of Luther's time were subservient to the Pope of Rome against all evidence to their eyes of the corruption of the church. And he stood against the entire society around him and said, no, that's not true. No, here are 95 points of contention I have with the man who is the most powerful person in the world right now. Here are 95 points of disagreement I have with him. And when that person called for his excommunication, he burned his proclamation in public. He said, this is what I think of you. That is not a man of his time. That is a man of infinite principle, of timeless consistency and faithfulness. That is not a man of his time. That is very much the opposite. And like you were saying, you know, years from now when people look back and they see the degeneracy that's allowed in our churches, they're going to say, oh yeah, they were men of their times. Let that not be said of us. Let it not so be said of us.
I will say, usually when you use that phrase, it's because you want to praise some aspect of that person while also denouncing some aspect of them. So like with Luther, they want to denounce the views of race and whatever, but they want to laud his theology or something like that.
Yeah, when his no longer being a Roman Catholic. They like that.
Yeah, they like that.
It starts and ends right there.
Right.
Yeah, it goes no further than that. 500
years from now, no one's going to look back at like J.D. Greer and be like, oh, but this aspect of his life was no. They're not going to even say the man of his time thing. They're just going to say, well, he was a loser. He was the reason that everything sucked back then. Like that we had to fix all their problems.
J.D. Greer is going to no longer be relevant before he's dead.
Yeah.
Right. People like
maybe he's not a great example. I don't know.
Tim Keller will not be remembered in 20 years. R.C. Sproul will.
Yeah.
My grandchildren will know who R.C. Sproul was. Nobody's showing Tim Keller videos to their grandkids. I'm going to be showing videos of R.C. Sproul to my grandkids. That's not a man of his time. That's a man of that is a man of infinite applicability. All right. People still talk about who Luther was, and they still read his books. I mean, I have. You can't see them; they're hidden behind some of these.
I got mine right up in here.
Yeah, I mean, Luther's books are still being read today, not just by people in his denomination. I'm not a Lutheran. Yeah. I've never been a Lutheran.
He wrote by himself some of the confessions that I hold to. Like that's how influential Luther was. I sang a hymn. We were talking about getting guys together to sing one of his hymns, and it wasn't "A Mighty Fortress Is Our God." It was, I can't even think of the other one, but he's written numerous hymns that you probably don't even know they were written by Luther, but he's done a lot.
Brother that is listening right now, there are hymns that you sing in church pay attention to the top left of the page next time you're singing it. You're going to see Luther's name on hymns that you've known since you were a child, whether you're Baptist, Presbyterian, or Anglican, or any form of shade. Even if you're a Methodist, you are singing Lutheran hymns, not just Mighty Fortress. You are singing Lutheran hymns that you probably don't know were written by Luther. If you are a German, the Bible that is on your shelf in your house is probably a Luther text that was translated by Martin Luther while he was hiding for his life.
Yeah. When he was looking grizzly like this.
Yeah.
That's what that is. That's when he was going by Junker Jorg. Yeah.
Yeah. Good look, actually.
Yeah, it works.
Bearded Luther wearing a sword. That's pretty awesome, actually.
That's why I like that one. That's my favorite version of Luther.
But Jesus talked to the Pharisees of his day, and he said to them that you are the sons of your father, the devil. Your fathers murdered the prophets. Actually, what he said to them is, you murdered the prophets. He had that generational understanding that is lost in our society today. You murdered the prophets, and you decorate their graves. Okay. That is our denomination. Those are our Christian denominations right now. They love Martin Luther in theory, but they don't actually like him in practice. They love J. Gresham Machen in theory, but they don't like him in practice. And the men who wrote the 1689 Confession, if you're a Baptist, those men would not be very happy with a lot of 1689 churches. Those men were Christian nationalists. They believed in having a Christian nation, in having a society that honored God in its laws and its practice. So be very sure of where you stand. Talk to your elders. Don't dox yourself to your elders. If you're on Twitter, posting risky stuff, don't dox yourself to your elders, but find out where you stand with them. My elders know my handle. They know who I am online, but my elders are not chronically online. They're, anti-tech, boomers. They hate Twitter and Facebook, and they're not on either one. And but they are aware of the stuff I post there because people have brought it to their attention. And while they won't agree with everything I say or do online, they're pretty solid people. You need to be in a church like that. And if you don't know how your church is, reach out to people online, contact me on Twitter or Facebook, DM me. I'll be happy to try and connect you in any way I can. But also more importantly than that, find people who are local to you who can stand together, because that's one thing that will really help you in a church situation. If you're dragged in front of your elders, bring a brother from that church. Okay? Bring a witness to the situation who is on your side, who is also a member of your church, if you have that. Because it's easy for a church to get rid of one person. But if it starts looking like a church split, if it starts looking like we're going to lose, a large chunk of our church Sunday morning attendance, that's going to make the elders think twice. Even if they don't agree with you, there's power in numbers. And that is a very valuable thing that you need to bring with you. Always have a witness. Many of these interactions with elders are not recorded and don't have a second witness. Bring a friend with you, even if he's not a member of your church. Just tell your elders, hey, I want a witness. Here's my friend. He's a trustworthy person. And then record your conversation as well. Maybe surreptitiously, maybe openly. You can tell your elders beforehand, hey, I'm recording this conversation. Or maybe you don't. But there are certain things you need to do to protect yourself. And you need to have in real life friendships and stability. So look for that around you. There are 7,000 who have not bowed the knee to Baal. You are not by yourself. You are not the only one. You are not hiding out in a cave, telling God, look, I'm the only one that's left. You aren't. I know it feels that way. I know we're isolated and spread out. But look around and find friends and reach out to people like Sean and me and your mutuals on Twitter and Facebook and create in real life community, because that's what's going to sustain you when the slings and the arrows of the enemy come. All right.
Take comments.
Let's see. Let's hit a few comments here. So we got, first up, John Carter. Good evening, John. Always glad to see you. He says, they want you to talk like Charlie because they wish the same fate upon you. Yeah. I mean, the people who are telling you be like Charlie Kirk after Charlie Kirk got killed, something ain't right. Something ain't right. They're not paying attention. Either they don't know what time it is, or they're just actively malicious. And don't write that off. That could be a possibility. And Eric Skeens says, good evening. Or he says, GE, General Electric. But Eric Skeens, message received, good evening. Hope you're having a good one. All right, that looks like all the comments that we have for now. So let's get into our next subject here. And this is pretty interesting. So, Sean, you were mentioning before the show, have you ever been on TikTok? Have you heard of TikTok?
I was for a bit, and then I am not any longer.
Yeah, I do not have a TikTok account. I'm on Instagram, but I believe that the rules on TikTok and Instagram are different. The only interaction that I've had with TikTok was I had a coworker one time. We were making a delivery together, and he stopped and showed me very briefly a video that he found on TikTok, and it was straight up pornography. And I saw that, and I just immediately turned away, and I told him, look, man, you don't need that. That's not good for you. And he was kind of a little bit confused, a little bit embarrassed. He overplayed his hand. He thought he was, with a fellow consumer, so to speak. And he didn't appreciate the rebuke, but he was a little bit ashamed, which is good. Shame's a good thing when you're ashamed of the right things. And when I saw that, I decided, I'm not going to have a TikTok. I think Instagram tends to be a little more friendly that way. I've certainly not seen anything. I've seen a few things on Instagram that I think shouldn't be there, but nothing quite like that. So I'm not on TikTok. And if you are, probably get off of TikTok because it's not good. But anyway, TikTok was created by a Chinese company. And it's spyware, just like Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. All of these websites are spying on you. They're recording everything that you do, everything you look at. And the only reason that people are upset about it is because it's China and not Silicon Valley. Congress doesn't care if Facebook is doing all these same things as TikTok is. They just care that it's the Chinese doing it instead of California. So the United States gave them an ultimatum. They said, you have to sell out to some American companies. And, well, they did. And they forced a sale. And that sale took place, and here is what we know now. So TikTok, new owners of TikTok, a consortium led by American billionaires and Abu Dhabi's MGX investment fund. So wait a minute. We're telling China that they can't own TikTok, and then the people who buy it are Abu Dhabi? Does that make any sense to you? But we can scroll down here. The new owners include prominent figures such as Larry Ellison of Oracle. All right. And all right, here's the last sentence of the previous blurb here. The new entity, valued at $14 billion, is governed by a 7-member board, 6 Americans and 1 seat for MGX, which is the Abu Dhabi firm. And all U.S. user data will be stored on Oracle's cloud infrastructure. All right. So the new owners,
11th generation American Larry Ellison.
Larry Ellison. We'll look into that in a little bit. The new owners include prominent figures such as Larry Ellison of Oracle. All right, so he's buying in, and he's now storing the data. All right, Rupert and Lachlan Murdoch of News Corp. So Murdoch, do you know, Sean? Do you know anything about the Murdochs?
Only that they own like every single TV entity.
They own Fox News. They own a lot of news channels actually. And Murdoch, that's an interesting surname. What is that? Is that a Swedish or Chinese? I don't really know. But Michael Dell of Dell Technologies, MGX, chaired by Sheikh Tanoon bin Zayed. Sheikh Tanoon bin Zayed. That's a very American name right there. And the UAE's National Security Advisor. So the National Security Advisor of the United Arab Emirates is now an owner of this company that they forced to sell because it was Chinese, and that is, them having all that access to American data is a national security risk. But this other guy who's in charge of national security for another country, right, he's in charge of the other country's national security. Nah, he's good. He's good. He's looking out for the national security of the United States. These individuals and their associated companies have strong ties to Israel, with Oracle collaborating on surveillance projects in the occupied West Bank and Gaza, and Dell supplying technology to Israel's military and security sector. Critics argue that this ownership shift is not merely about national security, but is a strategic move to control narratives, especially concerning the Gaza war, which had previously been amplified on TikTok through videos showing civilian casualties, read war crimes, and global solidarity marches. So anyway, here's a little bit of, I just looked up who is Oracle, right? Larry Ellison, American internet entrepreneur and businessman, born in 1944. First off, dude's looking pretty good for born.
I did not realize Larry Ellison was that old, man.
Dude, maybe, 81 years old. I mean, is that right?
Larry Ellison owns the Golden State Warriors, correct?
I do
is
not
that
know.
Correct?
Yeah. Born August 17th, 1944, according to Wikipedia, which never lies. All right. But, dude, for 81 years old, he's, that's a lot of plastic holding him up, but he's looking good. All right. But he's an American. He's an American multinational technology company headquartered in Nashville, Tennessee, specializes in data management, enterprise software, and cloud infrastructure. Founded in 1977 in Santa Clara by Larry Ellison, Bob Miner, and Ed Oates. All right. But this Larry Ellison guy, if we come and look him up, where is Larry Ellison from? Ellison was born on August 17th, 1944 in New York City to a Jewish mother, Florence Spellman. His biological father was an Italian-American United States Army Air Corps pilot. After Ellison contracted pneumonia at the age of 9 months, his mother gave him to her aunt and uncle for adoption. He did not meet Spellman again until he was 48. So he was raised in a Jewish middle-class neighborhood. He remembers his adoptive mother, Lillian Spellman Ellison, as warm and loving. So he's a New York Jew, right? This is the guy who's controlling all of your information, folks. This raises some questions about dual loyalty. And what is TikTok doing now that it has changed hands? Breaking: TikTok is now censoring posts that mention AIPAC influence in the United States. That didn't take long. And I saw lots of people posting on Instagram this week, hey, I'm putting this here because my TikTok account got shut down because I said X, Y, and Z. These things here, my TikTok has been suspended, or I've been given a warning. If I post one more thing, I'm going to get permanently deleted. Happened really quick, really fast. But this person here says, I'll take things innocent people never, ever do for $7,000, Alex. And some of y'all might be thinking, what? What is he talking about? $7,000?
What?
$7,000? Well, what is he talking about? Well, this is what he's talking about. Israel is paying $7,000 per post to American influencers to share pro-Israel messages. So at the same time that TikTok gets purchased by a lot of Jewish people and Jewish affiliated people in the United Arab Emirates, Netanyahu has been talking for the last several weeks about how Israel needs to fight on the digital frontier. They're losing the fight online and they need to take control. And now they're paying people quite openly, by the way, paying people $7,000 per post to post pro-Israel content. They're not hiding it, by the way. This is public information. This is not disputed. This is not conspiracy theories. This is your tax dollars at work. Because remember, anytime Israel's paying for something, you're paying for something. Because who is the number one funder of Israel? America, which is to say the U.S. taxpayer. So,
and I've got to say, my teats are dry and chapped at this point.
Israel, please. I'll say something nice for $7,000. But I think these posts have to be about policy, right? Not just like the weather's nice.
Oh, nice.
Right? If I posted with my see, how many followers do I even have on Twitter? I actually don't know. I don't check that very often. Let's see. Oh, load, stupid. Here we go. Let's see. I have 586 followers. So I have, half a thousand followers. Not a big channel by any means. By the way, give me a follow, folks, if you're not following me already, which you probably are. But I don't think if I tweeted out the weather in Tel Aviv is wonderful, I can't imagine a nicer vacation anywhere on the Mediterranean than Israel. I don't think I'm going to be getting a check in the mail from Israel. I think it has to be about, first off, this is for influencers. So you have to have a following. You have to have decent representation. You have to be getting the word out. Then it also needs to be about policy, right? And we've been seeing just floods of this online this week. All kinds of people talking about, oh, Israel, so nice, such good people. They're righteous. They're Christian, or they're Christian's best ally. We saw, the CREC's very own cross-politic coming out and saying that Israel are leading the way in the fight against LGBTQ after getting an all expenses paid trip to Israel.
No way.
Yeah. They come back and say Israel is leading the fight against LGBTQ. Tel Aviv has the largest gay pride march in the world.
They are rated the
most homosexual place on the
friendliest to gay people, something like that on the planet. Tel Aviv.
The abortion capital of the world is Israel. The sodomite capital of the world is Israel. And here come cross-politic coming out of the woodworks. No, guys, really, they're our greatest ally. They're leading the fight against LGBTQ. I don't think so. I don't think that's honesty speaking. I think that's your bank account speaking.
When did the guys at cross-politic have a free Israel vacation? When did that happen?
This was a couple weeks ago now.
Oh,
and
okay.
they came back and they're talking about how they get this free trip to Israel. They get this all expenses paid vacation. They get the Potemkin village tour of Tel Aviv. And they come home and they're like, nah, dude, it's all good. There are bros now. There are friends. There's this big Christian revival in Israel just waiting to break out. Trust me, bro. Trust me, bro.
I just want to talk to the audience real quick. The reason that I don't know what cross-politic is up to is because I have stopped searching for cross-politic news. And if you stop searching for them, they disappear.
They don't show up. Yeah, I don't follow cross-politics.
They are not. Well, I'm also currently not on the Twitter machine. Mm-hmm. So,
yeah. And like a lot of things, if you get off of the Twitter machine, they stop showing up.
Yeah. They don't exist. Not real.
You, dear audience, if you got off of Twitter, I would probably disappear. If you got off of Facebook, you would probably never see me again either. And that may or may not be a good thing, suit yourself, but examine. Self-examine, determine if you need to get off the internets, which may or may not be a good thing for you. But lots of people posting pro-Israel content. Lots of people talking about how Israel is our greatest ally, and really coincides, oddly, with these payouts that showed up all of a sudden. All of a sudden, everybody and their brother talking about how great Israel is. And but some people are noticing, which may or may not be legal for much longer. But some people are noticing. Here you have Earps Canoe. Follow Earps Canoe. He's a good dude. Tax Slave Dave. 30 pieces of silver is equivalent to $7,000 with current exchange rates. Let the reader understand. Sean, what is the significance of 30 pieces of silver?
30 pieces of silver is what a bunch of Jews paid a man to betray Christ.
Yeah. So here we've got a breakdown. Somebody asked Grok to estimate the value of 30 pieces of silver. You need to consider this, that, and the other. And thing is, I did the math myself, and the way I checked it, 30 pieces of silver, 30 denarii would actually come to closer to $2,000. But if you ask AI a leading question, it will find a way to make the connection. So just be aware, if you get onto Grok and you're like, Grok, does drinking hot coffee in the morning cause cancer? All right. Grok will find a way to tell you that drinking hot coffee is the leading cause of mouth cancer. Now, there are some theoretical correlations between hot coffee in the morning and mouth cancer, but they're certainly not the leading cause. Or things along those lines. Just be very careful with AI, double check it. But that being said, even if the exchange rate isn't exact, okay, the spirit of the thing is correct. This is the modern 30 pieces of silver. You are being bribed. You are selling out your nation. You are selling out your religion. You are selling out Jesus Christ to his enemies when you betray your Christian brothers in this way. And I know I'm stating that very strongly. I know I'm coming on strong. But I absolutely believe that accepting this blood money is just that. It is blood money. But here we go. Here's some posts from America's pastor, Joel Webbin. He says, it makes perfect sense that Israel is paying U.S. influencers $7,000 per post in order to convince Americans that Israel is just peachy. What's crazy is that there are smaller U.S. influencers who shill for Israel for free.
That's a banger right there, bro. That's amazing.
Yeah. I mean, and he's right. I mean, this is just insane. WikiLeaks posts Israel paying $7,000 per post, by the way. Undisclosed U.S. influencers amid Gaza backlash. The Israeli government paying U.S. content producers up to $7,000 per post as part of a major increase in budget for global influence campaigns. Mind you, increase in budget. All right, they were already doing this. All right, they were already paying people online to shill for them. And when you see these influencers, these big Twitter accounts that are all MAGA, pro-Israel, that refuse to curse Vishnu, the Vishnu test, if you haven't seen it, people will be posting their right-wing extremism, MAGA extremism, and then they'll say something about Israel, and somebody in the comments will say, curse Vishnu right now, or Vishnu is a devil, and then they'll scream back at them, Vishnu is a great god, Vishnu is cool, Vishnu is awesome. It's like, wait a minute. That doesn't sound very European of you. That doesn't sound very American of you. A lot of these bots are paid for. A lot of these are battery farmed foreigners, Indians, Hindus, who are representing themselves, being paid by people like the state of Israel to bring forward the kind of messaging that these people are looking for. $7,000 goes a long way in India. All right, $7,000 to me would be pretty cool, right? That's, like I said to Sean before the show, that's a car payment right there. If I could be making $7,000 per month, I could have, I could probably have a new Tahoe in my driveway, just making payments off of it with Twitter posts, right? I could be driving around in brand new vehicles. I could be making payments on a big house, depending on, how often, how frequently they want to make these payouts, right? But in India, you're being transported from the slums to palaces, all right? And that's absolutely happening. That is absolutely happening. But this rejoinder has been going around Twitter right now, and it's just beautiful to see.
7,000.
Yeah, all you have to do is say $7,000. And here's a great example here. James Lindsay, anti-communist, the woke right guy. James Lindsay, the woke right guy. Don't follow him. I don't. But he says, Israel isn't the problem. You thinking Israel is the problem is the problem. And Joel Webbin just says $7,000. Yeah, that's absolutely what's going on. James Lindsay, by the way, is not a rich man, and very, very resentful of the fact sometimes, hilariously so. He will sometimes say things about, what, this is costing me money, and I'm not a rich person. He's trying to make his money off of being an online personality, and he just can't seem to break the ceiling.
Yeah,
I mean, I say that I haven't yet made any decent money off of this yet.
Yeah, but James Lindsay is a guy that gets talked about for good or bad. Like, people talk about him, so it's funny. You can't find a way to turn a buck off of
it. And when I talked about him, I'm just assuming you as the audience know who he is, because you probably do. All right, but this is pretty funny. Just search $7,000 on Twitter and just start scrolling, and you're going to see these posts. Jake Shields, he's been posting a lot about this. Here you go. This is the breakdown somebody did. Questionable math. they're going at it from the direction of month's wages, purchasing power. That's the way you've got to get to it. But here's a guy who just says plus $7,000, and he's just posting people talking about, look at that, the same wording on all these posts. Deafening silence from the ceasefire now pro-Hamas crowd. Silence from the ceasefire now crowd. Silence from the ceasefire now crowd. Silence from the ceasefire now crowd. Chris Burnett says, your soul is worth more than $7,000. This is good. Good morning. $7,000 has been deducted from my account. Retarded, fake, and gay. Right in the middle. Middle Eastern forever wars. Love it. Mario breaking the block. Plus 7,000. Plus 7,000. But when that 7,000 hits your bank account, and this is a good comment right here. What exactly do you want me to do? Just tell people you like me and that I'm super chill and not genocidal. And then if you want to get some different posts, just put a comma in there. Let's see what shows up now. Joel Webbin, Real Robert talking about, they said it was a conspiracy theory. Yeah, you hear that a lot. They said it was a conspiracy theory, but look at this. Israel has dropped about 200,000 tons of explosives on Gaza since October 7th, equivalent to 13 of your moms. Sean, what am I going to do, man?
Yeah. You just, bro, I mean, you're catching strays out here, bro. Like, I don't.
That's equivalent actually to 13 Hiroshimas. All right. You can look on the left, you can see the city grid pattern. Look on the right, and it's all white powder. And there are videos of this. Gaza, which was a prison in a lot of ways, but the people found a way to live there in relative prosperity, doing good for themselves, and they just got destroyed. Just no standing buildings in all of Gaza. An area, the size of New York City, just decimated, just destroyed. Not decimated, just obliterated, gone. But lots of posts. If you want to see this, just look up 7,000, start scrolling, and you'll see some pretty cool stuff, some pretty interesting things from these people. But I think this was my favorite right here. Dinesh D'Souza, Jesus was not a Christian. How could he be? Christian is a follower of Jesus. Jesus was not a follower of himself. Christians are without exception sinners. Jesus was not. This is coming from the whole Jesus was a Jew crowd, right? And this is Aaron McIntyre responding to somebody saying Jesus was a Jew. Joel Webbin just posts $7,000.
Mm-hmm.
And I love this.
JD Hall, right? What is $7,000?
Yeah. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? It's he's aware now. He knows, and he's been doing some of the $7,000 posting as well. But he was a little late to the party.
Yeah.
I love it when that happens. And it's like, wait a minute, what is everybody talking about this? Don't mention the horse. If you know, pretend like you know. It's like, I still don't know what the horse thing is. And I'm not chasing it down. It's not worth it. But I love this response. Dinesh D'Souza, my films over the past decade and a half have netted over $100 million in the box office. This retarded guy thinks I can be bought for $7,000. Right? And
why does Dinesh D'Souza sound like a Mainer?
I don't know. He sounds weird, dude. But Jake Shields, of course, in the comments, he says, so how much are they paying you? Nothing. They're paying me nothing. Joel Webbin comes in clutch. Oh, shoot. Where is it? It's supposed to be there. Well, let me
while you're looking that up, I will because I was curious myself. You would have to post 858 positive tweets about Israel to make $6 million. So that's what the math comes out to. 857
number right there.
Yeah. It's funny while you're looking for that up too. I, much to the chagrin of some, I once visited Israel. I think it's great to actually like see with your own eyes the place where Jesus walked, like not because the modern nation state of Israel has any connection to that, but that is the land. Like we know where the Sea of Galilee is. Like it's not like a mystery. Well, we're doing our thing and we go to this one place that is it's on the Sea of Galilee for sure. I want to say it's on the north part, and it was close to the home of the Apostle Peter. I forget exactly which place it was. I want to say it's where they believe the synagogue would have been
where
in
Jesus
Galilee.
read the Isaiah scroll.
Yeah, I believe that's where it was. And no, because that was in Nazareth. I remember where that was. But Nazareth is really cool, by the way. They have a Lexus dealership there in Nazareth now.
How many $7,000 does it take to buy?
Yeah, I remember going there, and I'm like, dude, can I get a Lexus of Nazareth shirt? That'd be sweet. Like,
dude, if they're not selling Lexus of Nazareth T-shirts at the Lexus dealership, somebody
needs to get on that.
Yeah, somebody is not sufficiently Jewish enough to not be making money off of that.
Amazing.
You're going to have to turn in your card, man.
I remember I asked my guide. We went to the cliff because the whole city's built like on a cliff kind of, and so that would have been the spot where Jesus passed through their midst.
Yeah, where they tried to throw him off the cliff.
Yeah, and our guide was like, "Does anyone have questions?" I say, "Yeah, does anything good come from here?" And he was like, "What? I don't understand.
Oh,
like,
no,
the way
he
you asked
didn't
that
know.
question is really weird." And like my professors were there because I was in college at the time, and they were there. They were like explaining it to him because everyone got the joke except him apparently. But
wow.
anyways, because we went to the site, right? And it's a site that is only important to Christians. Like, so to Jews, it's not an important site. They had, I say they, like some Jews they know who they are. They spray painted some like anti-Christian rhetoric where it was
many
like,
such cases.
Yeah, it was like Christians go home. I'm sure it was a little more vile than that, but it was something like that. Like we hate Jesus. And they tried to do their damage control. They're like, look, we know this is a really important site to you, but this is just a minority of people that
not all Jews.
Yeah, they're not really like this. And so you will see that. You will see people who very much do not want you to be there, even though that's got to be an absurd amount of their national income.
Their revenue. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that nation is supported by Christians.
Yes.
And they hate Christians.
Yeah.
I mean, Eric Skeens wanted to pull this up because it's relevant. He says, I've been to Israel when I was 12 by my dispensational father and grandfather. And you're right. It is cool to go. We experienced some anti-Christian experiences from the IDF spitting at our tour guide.
Dang, man.
And he's not talking about, raspberries. They're not going.
Yeah.
These guys are. They're spitting on Christians. Look up the videos, guys. These people hate Christians and they spit on Christians. And he's saying the IDF, okay, these are official soldiers of the state. The military wing of this terrorist state spitting on the Christians who are supporting that nation. The only reason it exists is because Christians keep it afloat. And for that, you are spat upon. These people hate you. They want you broke and dead. They want your children raped and brainwashed, and they think it's funny.
Hey, I don't mean to interrupt the serious thing that you're saying, but my wife suggested that we play a game called "What Did My Wife Bring Me to Eat?"
Looked like scrambled eggs. What I could see. Of it.
Actually, it is macaroni and cheese. Yeah,
dude, macaroni and cheese and nuggets is still, very, very high on the list of good garbage.
No, this is like legit. This is like legit macaroni and cheese. This isn't. This is like a.
It's like the Kraft shells.
No, it's like she gets the shells and then I don't know what kind of cheese, but
so she homemade.
Oh yeah,
very cool, very cool. Well, to get back to the post, I figured out what I did wrong. I was supposed to go back and not forward. But Dinesh D'Souza says, my films over the past decade and a half have netted over 100 million in the box office. And this retarded guy, retards unite. This retarded guy thinks I can be bought for $7,000. And
oh no. What happened there? Did we just completely lose? Oh, is he coming back? Did we just?
What did I do?
I don't know. I was there the whole time.
I retarded out. I hit the back button on the wrong window. So, sorry about that. I was saying, this retard thinks I can be bought for $100,000. And what is his rejoinder? Asterisk. Correction. $100 million.
Yeah.
Because who controls the box office? Come on, guys. You know how this works.
Straight white men.
The communist Chinese. It's the communist Chinese. They control Hollywood. No. Correction. $100 million. That's right, folks. You have been bought with a price. However, the price of these people, some people come dearly, some people come cheaply, but Dinesh D'Souza was bought for $100 million.
If you don't know the history of why people like us hate Dinesh D'Souza, you got to go back to the early 90s, right? When he was, who was it that he, oh boy, I'm totally blanking on the name. He got somebody kicked out.
Sam Francis, I believe.
Yeah, Sam Francis. I thought it was Sam Francis.
Yeah, it was either Sam Francis or Pat Buchanan, but I believe it was Sam Francis.
Sam Francis sounds right.
He got him. He just absolutely destroyed him. He was a titan of the neoconservative movement, and Dinesh D'Souza made it his goal to get rid of him. And why was it that Dinesh D'Souza wanted to get rid of Sam Francis? Do you remember, Sean?
Said he was racist, right?
Because he was anti-Semitic.
Oh, that was it.
So he's been playing this game for a long time. He didn't get $100 million for no reason. All right. He was paid well for his services, and his services were duly rendered. He didn't show up in during the Obama administration. He didn't show up out of nowhere for no reason. He had bloodied his dagger before. He was being well repaid for services rendered.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. So if you're scrolling around on Twitter and you see people saying $7,000, you see people, glazing Israel, you see that in the comments section, you know what's going on. That's what's going on. Is they're getting paid, and everybody knows. It's like that saying, I believe, from Solzhenitsyn, right? They're lying. We know they're lying. They know we know they're lying, and they're lying anyway, right? On Twitter, everybody knows what's going on. They're getting paid. We know they're getting paid. They know that we know they are getting paid. They're posting anyway. All righty, let's get back into the comments here. Zoltan says, a black soldier in the army asked me why white people eat macaroni and cheese. I was not aware of what he was getting at. Sean out here perpetuating stereotypes. Do blacks not eat macaroni and cheese?
I'm pretty sure they serve
African
macaroni and
Americans, I should
cheese
say.
in prison, right? Like,
oh,
surely.
Rough. No, I mean, I didn't grow up in an African American community. I didn't grow up in an inner city ghetto, so I don't really know what their I don't other than like chicken and waffles and purple drink. I'm not super familiar with what they do or do not.
You know what he's doing? What he's essentially doing is the ancient Roman thing where they're like, how are these crazy people eating dairy products? This is I don't understand.
Oh, that might actually be that.
It's
might
a
have
lactose
something to do with
thing.
it. Yeah, it's a lactose thing.
We
For
tolerate
those of you who don't
lactose in this country.
African Americans, I believe Africans in general have difficulty processing milk.
Literally everyone except white people. Literally the entire world except
Asians. No, Indians, from what I understand, they don't have a problem with milk. So, because when I was in India, that was a very common thing for people to be drinking. Although I don't know if water buffalo milk is the same. It might have lower lactose, but it was not uncommon to see the more well-off kids drinking a glass of milk every day for their health, and did not have, from what I understand, any deleterious effects. But Sean out here perpetuating the stereotype, the lactose flexing.
I don't know if you can see these comments. Yeah, you can. Okay.
Z says, bye, Jeff. Lol. Sorry. Retard fingers getting in the way. Monopolygatus, mea culpa, mea maxima culpa. I am not good at this. And the only reason I'm doing it is because it's fun. All right. Dickie S says, rest in pieces, Jeff Waugh. Yeah, that's what happened. I nuked myself from orbit. It's the only way to be sure. Z says, that's what I asked him. He said only macaroni and cheese with nothing else. I was never a huge fan to just eat that only.
What?
Dude,
as
my cousins.
To...
All right, dude. All right. I'm a Southern man. Proud Southerner. I'm a ketchup disrespecter. All right, ketchup is for French fries, and ketchup is only good for no good French fries, right? So, my cousins would make macaroni and cheese, and then they'd take the ketchup bottle and just squeeze a huge amount of ketchup on their macaroni and cheese, and eat the mac and cheese with ketchup.
My dad's like that too. He'll put ketchup on the weird, like eggs. He'll put ketchup on eggs.
Oh no!
I'm like, Dad, what are you doing?
Dad, what are you doing?
I'll do ketchup on. Well, actually, I'm about to be hypocritical because I like ketchup on hash browns, but then I also mix it with like the yolk of the egg. So I don't know. Maybe I'm just a hypocrite.
By the way, guys, if you are scrambled eggs appreciators, the best thing to have on scrambled eggs is Tapatio.
No, come on, dude.
All right.
Salt and pepper. That's it. That's all you need.
Tapatio is, as far as hot sauces go, it's not that impressive. It's not that great. But there's just some magic where you put that on scrambled eggs, especially in like a breakfast burrito, bacon and egg burrito, and you put some of that on there. And
that I could see.
Dude,
yeah.
That's just the thing. But mac and cheese with nothing else. Z says he was not a huge fan, but just what he had to eat that day.
I will also just eat cheese by itself, so I don't. Without the mac. So I'll.
I was at a friend's house today when I was slaughtering chickens, and for lunch, we had sandwiches, and some of the kids had little cubes of cheese, just Colby Jack cheese cubed up. They were eating that, and I snitched a little bit of their cheese. I was like, ooh, give me some of that cheese. It's good stuff, man. Cubes of cheese and crackers with meat on it. That's
some sharp white cheddar, dude. Food. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's where it's at.
And then Dickie S says they don't serve mac and cheese in county jail. I can't speak of prison. Yeah, well, some counties, your county may be different, but at least in Dickie S's county, they do not serve mac and cheese.
Yeah, I'm sure in like Wisconsin.
Unfortunate.
I'm sure in like Wisconsin, they're like,
in Wisconsin, they probably just roll out the cheese wheel, cut you off a chunk, and be like, "Here's your lunch."
Yeah,
which not bad.
Yeah, I'm down.
Yeah, I'm down for it.
I'll commit a crime.
Let's see. Dickie S. Jews do too. I think he's referring to the intolerance.
Yeah, he talks about it a little later because he says Jews have issues with lactose. Also, I know I am Jewish by that. Man, you're really incriminating yourself tonight.
So, for those of you who don't know, Dickie is my brother, and we are not stepbrothers. We are full-blood brothers, and we have a very small percentage. It's about 1/16 of Jewish heritage. But he drew the short straw, and he is lactose intolerant, and I am not.
Hell yeah.
So, sucks to be you. I'm over here mogging on my own brother. Mongolians are all about the mare's milk. Makes them big and strong. Yeah, I remember...
yak's milk is what they drink, right?
So if you're a fan of Jules Verne wrote an incredible book. Love it. Love it. I read it to my kids, called Mikhail Strogoff. And it's about a courier of the Tsar. Right? It's a high adventure, very fun. But at one point, he's captured by Mongolians, and the Mongolians are getting drunk off of... man, I don't remember what the stuff is called, but it's like Sukis or Sumis or Zukis, something like that. And it is okay. People do strange things for alcohol. All right. We've been talking about prison, people doing toilet bowl alcohol, right? But the Mongolians evidently were drinking fermented mare's milk. And that is their preferred alcohol in Mongolia is fermented mare's milk. Now, I don't know about you, Sean, but when the milk, has been in the fridge for a little too long and it's starting to separate and it's getting that weird color to it, and you take the lid off and you're like, oh, that strong rotten milk smell.
Yeah, I don't know.
The first thing that hits me, the first idea I have is, man, I'm going to pour this down the drain. I'm going to throw this away. I'm going to flush down the toilet, whatever.
Yeah, but that's not the same as fermented. Like that's...
Yeah, at no point did I think, man, I think I could make this into something drinkable.
I'd be curious. Well, but that's, like I said, that's not fermented.
Maybe it's
that's
too
like
late. Yeah, at that point.
Yeah, that's like rotten. I don't know, but maybe there's a process to it. I don't know. I mean, I like Bailey's. Bailey's is delicious. That's alcoholic milk. I mean, I know it's just milk and whiskey.
It's
but
condensed milk and whiskey is really. Yeah. I mean, I've made homemade Bailey's. It's actually really good.
Yeah.
Bailey's also has coffee flavor in it, and I am not a coffee drinker.
Oh, dude,
I do like some Bailey's.
You like White Russians?
You know what? I have never had a White
Russian.
Russian.
It's so good. I mean, you said you don't like coffee, so you're not going to like the coffee liqueur in there. But...
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right. Well, I mean, I'll give it a try. All right, kumis.
I would absolutely try that.
Let's see. Fermented mare's milk, known as kumis and ayrag in Central Asia, is a traditional dairy product with a sour. There you go. It's sour, Sean. I told you. Slightly alcoholic and fizzy taste. Man, that's just what I thought when I was drinking milk. I was just like, you know what this needs is carbonation.
Carbonation, yeah. There you go. Let's do it.
It has been a staple.
I'm curious. Have you read Dunamai yet? Is that still on your?
I have not finished it. No, I read part of it and then I didn't finish.
Because this is where I got the idea for the alcoholic milk.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm down for the cause. I don't know if I'd like this particular type, but I'm down for some milk booze.
Yeah. Drinking fermented horse's milk, really? Yeah, that is precisely what went through my head the first time I heard of kumis. in my 6th grade geography book as I'm reading about Mongolians and them drinking fermented mare's milk. I mean, I'll try it. I'm a glutton for punishment, but I will say I'll try it, but I'm not thinking that this is going to go well. I'm not expecting to just be magical.
The Mongolians had such a superior diet to the Chinese, which is why they were able to just mow them down at times, because Chinese would eat like rice and
rice and rice water.
Yeah, and their teeth would like fall out, but then Mongolians are eating nothing but like dairy products and meat, and they're literally like on a bulking diet.
Yeah, and it's funny too, you know, when you look at a modern Mongolian compared to a European, and they're like kind of squat, shorter, not super huge, right? And then you see in a movie like Mulan, right, where they're depicting the Mongolians, and what is he? He's this giant savage, and you know, it's compared to the Chinese of the time, they were giant savages. That said, when I was in India, one of the professors at the university where I was staying was so they're from Northeast India. They're not ethnically Hindus, right? They're descended from the Mongolians, and they're definitely Mongoloid. They have that, you know, square face, squinty eyes. They're definitely Central Asian, right? And this dude was as tall as I am. I'm 6'1". I think he was taller than me. I think he was 6'2". Very unusual in India to be that tall. This dude was built like a tank. I mean, this dude was a brick house, and just an absolute athletic monster. And he was an Olympic medal winner for tennis, and just an absolute monstrosity. I love the guy to death. He's just incredible. But we'd play volleyball or shuttlecock. And what do Americans call shuttlecock? I forgot. Badminton. We'd play badminton. Dude, the guy, all right, we would set up the badminton field, right? He would be on one side, and we'd have 5 students on the other side. And these are all young, strong, active, athletic students. And he would just cream them, just destroy them. I mean, the dude was a monster. But there's something to that. You know, the Mongolian, with their superior physique, their incredible diet, they really did mog the Chinese for quite some time. I mean, they didn't rule all of Asia for no reason. They are, you know, one of the best of all time. You know, if you're going to rank your, you know, if you're going to do your races, your tier listing, right? Mongolians have to have they're S tier right up there. For Asians anyway. Let's see. Oh, we already did this one. Gross, don't talk about such things. Yeah, he's referring to the kumis.
No, he's talking about the Tapatio.
Oh, Tapatio. Tabasco is superior. Well, I mean, I'm on my kitchen table. That's where I podcast from. I mean, I'm a Tabasco fan. I picked up this Tabasco Buffalo. It's good. It's good. But the original Tabasco is pretty good, especially if you're eating MREs. Tabasco covers a multitude of sins.
Yeah, we used to fight over that.
Z, fermented mare's milk goes good with that slab of goat that's been tenderized under the saddle all day. Yes, they did that. The step ain't for the weak. That's right. That's harsh Darwinian conditions. The Mongolian
I'm gonna have to make a journey to Mongolia, man.
To like there's Mongolia or the nation of Mongolia.
Everything I've ever learned about even modern Mongolia sounds like a great place to go visit. Like the throat singing, dude. Like that is the coolest thing.
Pretty incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't even know how they make those sounds.
Yeah,
I mean, it's pretty cool. Dickie S, Irish coffee is pretty good. Well, again, I'm not a coffee drinker. So, I mean, isn't Irish coffee just whiskey in coffee?
It's just booze and coffee. Yeah. If you add booze to anything, it becomes Irish, apparently.
Well, that's whiskey, right?
Yeah,
I guess
Irish scrambled eggs. It's like you're having scrambled eggs, and you're like, "Oh, you know what this needs? This needs whiskey."
Yeah.
that makes it Irish right there. But let's see. Eric Skeens again says, "I put Chipotle Tabasco on my scrambled eggs every single morning." Yeah,
Did you mean to pronounce it that way?
Tabasco.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the Chipotle Tabasco. People are going to hate me for this. Better than Tabasco. All right, the Chipotle Tabasco is better than Tabasco. Try it. Z says Irish traffic court.
Yeah, there you go.
That's it's not called drinking and driving. It's called Irish driving.
Yeah.
Dickie S. Add booze to anything and it makes it better. Well, maybe.
Having a hard time coming up with a counter example.
Driving, so. Add whiskey. Irish driving makes it better. By the way, we as a podcast do not endorse drinking and driving.
Yeah.
We're just joking. All right. Well, we have hit the 2-hour mark. Sean, any closing thoughts?
I had a wild idea for a future episode, and I kind of wanted to put this out there just to see what people in the comments might think, because I have been just consuming the James Bond novels. I know you're a big fan, and I am currently on Diamonds Are Forever, so that's the 4th one. And I just started. I think I started after our it's all been this week. I think. Like I've just been burning through them, and really, really enjoying them. Better than the movies for the most part. And so I was. There's a lot of talk of cards and stuff like that. So I was wondering if would anyone even want to? And I don't know the logistics of how we would do this, but to actually have a show where it's just card night and mixed cocktails and we dress up and have a fancy James Bond style card night. I don't know if that would even be something worth doing, but it's been on my mind.
We could do that. We could have a, maybe we could do that for Thanksgiving or something like that. Have a dressed up night for Thanksgiving or Halloween or some holiday where we dress in our suits, shake some cocktails, and talk about fast-powered cars and how we like our steak and things like that. That could be pretty fun.
Also, for those who don't know, in the books, I know in some of the movies this character's there also, but Felix Leiter is a huge part of the books. I didn't realize
he's a mainstay. Yeah.
And he's his Texas buddy.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a major part of the book. So it's cool, man. You should read those books. They're good. I don't know where I've heard criticism of the books, but it's usually from really liberal people. So that means you should read it. Yeah. But no, I haven't really seen what they're to be. Oh, this is so racist, but it's really not. I mean, it's pretty. No, unless I've just become
that is coming from us
to it. Yeah.
No, but the way he talks about Islander people and people from New Orleans, talking about their proclivities, I can see how some people would be offended. But even at the time, it was very mild. I mean, really nothing in there as far as those topics go that I would have any problem with. I think James Bond from the books is a very different character from James Bond in the movies.
Yeah, big time.
Interestingly, to me, James Bond in the books is more like a middle-class guy, almost a blue-collar working-class guy who's thrown into the white-collar society.
Yeah.
And then, he's making his way in that world as a professional.
Yeah.
Because he's good at what he does. That's how he made it there. So he rose through the ranks because of his abilities.
Yeah.
And but his hobbies are still very much a blue collar guy. You know?
Yeah, he dresses and drinks fancy, not because he's an actual gentleman, but because that's just how people were back then. Like, you know what I mean? Like, people knew how to drink. People knew how to dress. Obviously, as you can see, my 1973 tour Pink Floyd shirt, not exactly gentlemanly, but like people knew these things. Like, you know, fast cars were a matter of, I like this fast car because I can, you know, I know how to work on it. Like, I understand the inner mechanics of it, and the vehicle as a art form, which has largely been lost. I mean, there's obviously still a contingent that has retained that, but I don't know. You're right. I mean, he's a veteran of World War II, like in the books. I don't think they bring that up in the movies. He's got this like crazy scar that is a big part of it. But
that's how people identify him when they're looking for him.
Yeah,
he's got a facial scar.
Yeah, so it's not as, I don't know. It's really cool. It's a cool series of books, and I look forward to continuing with them, and hopefully before too long finish them all out. But yeah, I was just wondering, like, would anyone even want to do something like that? Like, it would just be us dressing up and
maybe talking about our favorite cars and our favorite books. And
just have
how we like our eggs.
Yeah.
More of the things that you come to this show for, the things that you love.
Here you go.
Yeah, well, we'll keep that on the radar for sure.
That's what I thought.
I had one thing I wanted to talk about. So last week I talked about our friend with the pins.
Oh, yeah.
Excuse me. Actually, let me pull him up because it's good to see what we're talking about here. But Deus Volt lapel pins, and we showed. Now, our last episode, the viewership was not great because the sound bugged out in the beginning, like I mentioned. But Deus Volt lapel pins makes these amazing pins for you to wear on your lapels, and he had some new additions. I'm repping my Maltese cross, and very, very proud of that. Very Germanic. I am a man of German extraction. Came in the mail, and dude, the presentation on this is just second to none.
Oh yeah.
You know, comes on a little business card with his info on the back.
That says, is cool.
Tuitio fidei et obsequium pauperum. You know, defense of the faith and assistance to the poor, order of the Knights Hospitaller of St. John. So just very, very cool. So I'm gonna rep that with pride. But also he's got, as you see here, his standard lapel pins, which is the Jerusalem cross. Now, those who are astute will note that these crosses are in the colors of the calendar, the church calendar.
Oh, there you go.
So you got red, you got black, you got green, you got purple. And then you've got the gold and white, right? So right now, Sean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe we're in green right now.
Yes. So what we will do, though, is just to shake it up. If there is a feast day, like we had St. Matthew's Day was in September, so we did the red coloring. So I mean, it is what like normal time, but which is green, but like you could always just throw in if you're celebrating a specific one. So red can show up whenever.
Yeah, because green does dominate the calendar, and it can get monotonous. You know, if you've been doing this for several months now, and you just can't wait for Advent. You know, you just can't wait for the next season to show up. You're just like, man, I'm sick of this green. But what I've been doing is I've just been wearing the red for Charlie Kirk and for MAGA, for Christian nationalism, the red and the white right there, it definitely sends a message. But so I also got this one here, the Texas Bonnie Blue, the Bonnie Blue flag on Texas. Good patriotic pin. It says, "We are a band of brothers and native to the soil, fighting for our liberty with treasure, blood, and toil. And when our rights were threatened, the cry rose near and far. Hurrah for the Bonnie Blue flag that bears a single star." That's the lyrics to the song, "The Bonnie Blue Flag."
That's right.
From 1861. Yeah, so there you go. So I'll be wearing that, repping that with pride. And here's something else I wanted to say, though. Deus Vult, dude, can you get us some more of these? I bought some of these Rebel battle flags, which I got some of this here that I'm repping. I picked this up from a friend. This here was
that one's got some years
flown,
on it, man.
Yeah, this was flown over a cannon for about a year, and then when they changed out the flag, they'll give the flag to somebody. I'm still trying to find some way to hang it, frame it, put it somewhere prominent in the house. But I bought this pin from the Confederate War Museum in Fort Worth.
White Settlement.
Closed down. Well, White Settlement. That's right.
Yeah.
And that museum is no longer around, and I don't know where they sourced this pin.
Yeah.
But because they were closing down, they had things on a fire sale. So I picked this up for like $1. I picked this up, which is the first
that is a first national, but that is a first national. That is the 7-star, which includes Texas. That is before the first 7 states that joined the Confederacy, before Lincoln made his army and brought it up to 13.
Yeah. So I'm looking for a good place to get these to replenish my stock. So because I always, you can never have enough. So Deus Vult lapel pins, if you want to make a battle flag for us, you've already got your Dabney pin like we saw.
That's right.
Be kind of cool. All right, 2 more comments before we close out the show. Z responding to Dickie says, "Roofing in Texas in the summer, not better with booze."
I enjoyed drinking booze and watching my crew put on a roof.
Well, if you're the guy watching,
it does make it better.
If you're sitting back in your AC truck and you're like, yeah, I'll have a Miller High Life while I'm watching these Mexicans up there. But that said, I've seen Mexicans on roofs, throwing Modelo bottles down. So they're definitely in disagreement. But I will say, when you're hot and sweaty, drinking booze is probably not the best idea. Maybe some cold water, maybe some Gatorade to kind of keep you. But Dickie responds, "Roofing is less rough with booze, but the product may be a little less straight." I think the operative point was the Texas heat. The Texas heat has a lot to do with why it's not very good. This is definitely non-alcoholic Modelo's. No,
I don't think Mexicans don't drink
non-alcoholic beer. Yeah. I don't even know if Modelo makes a non-alcoholic beer, and if they do, I don't respect them for it.
Yeah,
know your audience, guys. Nobody wants that. All righty, well, folks, it's been a fun show. I've had a good time. Sean, have you had a good time?
Yeah, I always have a good time.
Don't take the black pills too far to heart. I know some of the subject matter was a little heavy, but walk circumspectly. Be cautious in the way that you behave online, and be respectful in the way that you behave in church. But also, be aware. Be aware of what time it is in our society, and know the dangers, because there are lots of lots of very strange occurrences that can happen to you in churches these days. But anyhow, we appreciate you all being along for the ride. We've had a good one, and I hope that you have a wonderful rest of your night. And go to bed, because tomorrow is the day that God has prepared for us to worship him in, gather with the saints, and I hope to see you at the table. And I hope you have a wonderful night, and farewell.